You are listening to stories at Chubby Orange Audio. Wish you an enjoyable listening experience. When I went with the tour group, we got stuck in the desert. My younger classmate Sophie secretly used the little drinking water we had left to wash her feet. She said the weather was too hot and her little feet were sweating. In my previous life, I desperately tried to stop her and managed to save that precious water source. But Sophie acted like she was wronged, cried and ran outside, then encountered quicksand and died horribly. My boyfriend Ryan kept comforting me, saying everything was God's will, and after being rescued, he even publicly married me. However, when I was 8 months pregnant, he drugged my water. When I woke up, I had been thrown into the desolate desert. Beside me was a man with a face full of hatred. It was all because that petty girl had caused my beloved's death. Go to hell and pay with your life for her. I died of dehydration, my corpse torn apart by venomous snakes and wild beasts. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the exact day Sophie stole water to wash her feet. This time I immediately closed my eyes and ignored everything. Didn't he like to act magnanimous? I wanted to see how this pair of dogs would treat everyone's lives like a joke. Where's my water? Sophie, you better give me a reasonable explanation. The fierce argument brought me back to reality. Looking at Sophie hiding behind Ryan Zhang with an aggrieved face, I immediately realized I had been reborn. In my previous life, when I discovered Sophie was about to take water that was directly related to everyone's survival to wash her feet, I didn't hesitate to stop her. But Ryan saw Sophie looking upset and slapped me in front of everyone. Isn't it just a little water? Do you have to force my beloved to death to be happy? I firmly protected that precious water, but Sophie thought I was deliberately targeting her, cried and ran away. The result was encountering quicksand and dying horribly. When he heard she died, Ryan seemed very calm. I thought he had learned to regret, but unexpectedly he was secretly biding his time. He waited until I was 8 months pregnant to drug me, taking me to the desert to die of thirst and heat. Fortunately, heaven gave me a chance to start over. This time I must make that pair of scoundrels pay the price. Facing everyone's harsh questioning, Sophie immediately turned red-eyed and hid behind Ryan, voice pitiful. I didn't do it on purpose either. Yesterday we walked all day, my feet were swollen, so I just... Seeing his beloved being wronged, Ryan immediately flew into a rage, cursing the crowd. Do you all have to force my beloved to death to be happy? Now the water is gone. Do we have to kill another person to be satisfied? In this life or death situation, he still put on his class leader facade to show authority, but no one wanted to listen. Suddenly Ryan turned to me. Lucy, what do you think? Our eyes met, and I read the warning in his gaze. I smiled slightly and nodded decisively. Ryan said, right, it's just a little water, no need to make such a fuss. He was obviously satisfied with my compliance and immediately nodded. There, that settles it. Don't bring this up again. Anyone who mentions it again shouldn't blame me for not caring about our friendship. Although everyone was frustrated, they still feared the gun in his hands. However, I clearly saw that as time passed, everyone's lips became increasingly cracked, their pupils gradually becoming cloudy, signs of severe dehydration. And I watched as Sophie not only failed to recognize her mistake, but also secretly took out her water bottle from her backpack when no one was paying attention, drinking it all by herself, then pouring the rest over her feet. This was exactly the little princess that Ryan risked his life to protect, selfish, heartless, treating everyone's lives like a joke. This time I wanted to see how they would face the anger of the entire team. A day passed, and everyone found a stone cave to rest temporarily. Walking all day in the desert, the exhaustion goes without saying. Fortunately, along the way, a few friends and I found some wild fruits and risked our lives to catch some lizards, temporarily solving the food problem. However, while the whole group was busy processing the lizard meat, Sophie, who had been hiding behind Ryan, suddenly jumped out. What are you people doing? I can't stand it anymore. The mothers of these little lizards are probably still waiting for their children to come home. You people are truly demons. Her absurd words made everyone look at her with the concerned eyes one gives to an idiot. She really thinks she's living in a fairy tale. Everyone's about to starve to death. Who has time to play house with her? Seeing no one listening, Sophie panicked, grabbed Ryan's hand, tears welling up. Ryan, look, I clearly want what's best for everyone, but they're scolding me. Boo-hoo. Her fake crying echoed throughout the stone cave, making one hot-tempered friend unable to bear it anymore. Sophie, are you mentally ill? If you think it's cruel, then don't eat or get out. Don't babble here. Hearing this, Sophie became even angrier, rushed to the processed lizard, and threw it hard outside the cave entrance, muttering, "I'll let you eat it, eat this." The sudden incident left everyone stunned. Coming to their senses, the hot-tempered friend immediately exploded, rushing up to push her to the ground. "Are you crazy? We worked so hard to catch that, what right do you have to throw it away?" Ryan immediately went berserk, fighting with that friend. "How dare you touch my beloved? You ungrateful thing. My beloved did this to accumulate virtue for you all." Sophie quickly nodded in agreement, grabbing Ryan's hand and acting cute. "You really understand my heart the best." Facing this crazy couple, everyone was even too lazy to curse anymore. One friend muttered, "Crazy," and went outside to pick up the thrown lizard. But before taking a few steps, he suddenly screamed and fell to the ground, rolling in pain. Those nearby immediately took a sharp breath, a rattlesnake. Right at his feet, a rattlesnake was coiled up. "Quick, light a fire and use torches to drive it away," I shouted. Everyone immediately helped together. Only Ryan and Sophie stood still, even laughing mockingly at the friend's pain. Serves him right for not listening to me. Now he's getting his comeuppance. Am I right? Sophie turned around. Ryan not only didn't object but even smiled and nodded. Yeah, he brought it on himself. I truly underestimated his limits. To please his goddess, he had lost even basic morality. But at this moment, the snake by the friend's feet had begun to raise its head, ready to attack. Fortunately, in the urgency, several friends cooperated, and the fire was finally lit. Just as I was about to grab a torch and rush out, Sophie started her act again. "The desert is already so dry, and you're still lighting fires. My skin is already cracked, look." Seeing no one paying attention, she suddenly threw a handful of sand over the newly lit fire, and the flames immediately went out. Everyone was furious, pointing at her and cursing. "Are you brain dead? This is a matter of human life, understand? Ryan, control this crazy woman? Or don't blame us for being rude." Sophie quickly hid behind Ryan, still pouting. "The person bitten by the snake brought it on himself. What does it have to do with me?" I didn't want to argue anymore. Grabbed a piece of wood that still had embers, and rushed out to hit the snake's head hard. I immediately shouted, "Take this opportunity for 2 classmates to quickly carry the injured Tommy back." At this point, he had no response, his body ice cold, occasionally convulsing. What should we do? Tommy seemed to be, a timid female student had started crying. I signaled everyone to stay calm. First checking Tommy's breathing closely, then listening to his heartbeat. Fortunately, there was still some. I remembered on the map there was a small village west of the desert. As long as we could get there, we could contact the outside world. After thinking for a moment, several of us immediately decided to take Tommy to find the village. However, before setting off, Sophie, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. "I want to go too. It's my fault that Tommy got hurt. I want to make amends." I naturally didn't believe she had suddenly become so kind, but there was no time to argue, so I had to nod. So I led the way at the front. Several other friends supported Tommy in the middle, while Ryan and Sophie walked at the back. The desert night was freezing cold. Even holding a torch, I couldn't help shivering. Just then, Sophie suddenly ran up beside me, voice full of displeasure. "Lucy, I'm so cold. You're wearing so much, share some with me?" I laughed bitterly. "Share with you? What am I wearing? In such cold weather. Do you want me to freeze to death?" She changed color, said nothing, and stepped back 2 paces. But immediately after, Sophie suddenly lunged forward. She pulled at the clothes on me. "You're wearing so much. What's wrong with giving me 2 pieces? Don't be so selfish." I held my clothes tightly without letting go. Seeing she couldn't pull them off, she changed tactics and grabbed my hair hard. The gentle flower-like face from before completely disappeared, replaced by a fierce, vicious look. "Lucy, don't push your luck. Make me angry and I'll show you what's what." I had endured enough. A hard kick to her calf made her lose balance. Taking that opportunity, I stood up and slapped her hard across the face. "Sophie, if you want to die, I don't care, but if you drag me into it, don't blame me for teaching you a lesson." She struggled and screamed loudly. "Let go, you bastard with a father who gave birth but no father who raised. Let go." My heart turned ice cold. My father died early from overwork trying to earn money to support the family. I had never told anyone about this except Ryan, never expecting it would become something for Sophie to curse and humiliate me with today. I gritted my teeth, about to retort, when the corner of my eye suddenly caught several flickering lights in the darkness. My whole body immediately tensed, looking around, my heart nearly sinking to the bottom. Wolves. Without knowing when, more than a dozen desert wolves had appeared around us, clearly having followed us for a long time. You bastard, Lucy. Sophie was still cursing incoherently. I didn't hesitate, slapping her again. If you want to live, shut up. She was stunned by the hit, raised her head to argue, then her eyes met those green lights ahead. A second later, ear-piercing screams tore through the night. Provoked, the wolf pack simultaneously growled and approached, the situation extremely dangerous. Before I could think much, I instinctively backed away quickly, but after only 2 steps, my body crashed into someone. Looking carefully, it was Ryan breathing heavily. Wasn't he supposed to be at the back of the group? When did he get here? Before I could think clearly, Sophie on the ground suddenly ran over, crying loudly. Ryan? It's this bastard. She not only led the wolves here but also hit me, wanting me to be eaten by the wolves. Ryan's gaze immediately turned cold. Just then, gunshots and rapid footsteps came from the distance. Hurry, save people. Not far ahead was a team of more than 10 people. The leader held a hunting rifle, aimed carefully, and shot down a wolf. At the same time, Ryan's scream came from nearby. It turned out the wolf pack, frightened by the gunshots, scattered and ran. Coincidentally, one rushed toward Sophie. In that dangerous moment, Sophie immediately abandoned her previous weak appearance and fiercely pushed Ryan forward as a shield. The painful cry earlier was when the hungry wolf bit Ryan's arm hard. Seeing the people in the distance getting closer, the alpha wolf let out a long howl, and then the entire pack turned and fled. Having escaped death by a hair's breadth, I couldn't help but breathe a long sigh of relief. The person opposite walked closer. The leader was a middle-aged man with sharp features, naturally imposing without anger. I stared at him, suddenly feeling familiar. You're Mr. Austin Wood. The other party paused, seemingly remembering something, immediately delighted and quickly approaching. You're Miss Lucy Chen. Lucy has grown up so much. I smiled and nodded. Many years ago, when my mother took me traveling everywhere, we once met a merchant caravan struck by plague. My mother couldn't bear to watch them die, so she stayed with the caravan for a while until everyone recovered before leaving. The leader of that merchant caravan was exactly Mr. Austin Wood before me. After some conversation, Austin Wood learned of our difficult situation and immediately had someone inject antiserum for the injured Tommy. Come on, Miss Lucy, we'll take you all back to camp to rest. When dawn comes, I'll escort you out of here. Before I could nod, Sophie suddenly rushed forward, voice commanding. You're Lucy's friend. Don't worry about that dying person anymore. Hurry and take me back to camp and prepare hot water for me to bath. Oh right, I want to eat a whole roasted lamb. Remember to arrange it. Austin Wood frowned slightly, glancing at me. Is this Miss Lucy's friend? I smiled and waved my hand, then pulled him aside and lowered my voice. The injured man and that crazy woman are exactly the ones who caused us to get lost and be attacked by wolves. Austin Wood immediately understood and said loudly, All right, Miss Lucy, I can prepare food for you all, but my caravan has limited resources and must leave one person behind. He then pointed to Ryan and Sophie. An injured person will only be a burden, and one looks like a parasite. I can't take both. As soon as he finished speaking, Sophie frantically put on a flattering smile and approached. Big brother, I was just joking with you earlier. Look, I'm not injured and can follow the caravan. I eat little too. Just take me alone, okay? Really. Although I don't have any skills, I learned dance and I'm flexible with many positions. Her voice grew smaller and smaller, her face full of seduction, the meaning obvious. Ryan looked like he'd been doused with cold water, his eyes widening. Sophie, you shameless woman. I got injured saving you, and now you're abandoning me to run away alone. Humph. You said you'd protect me, but did I beg you to? Ryan was so angry his whole body shook, glaring at her with red eyes. Sophie smiled seductively, about to throw herself into Austin Wood's arms, but before she could touch him, she was met with a black gun barrel. Get lost. I'm not interested in you. Seeing Sophie humiliated, Ryan laughed triumphantly. Serves you right, you slut. Still trying to use your beauty trick. People don't even care about you. A few seconds later, he limped forward, pointing at me. Mr. Austin Wood, This is my girlfriend. The gold bracelet on her hand weighs dozens of grams, enough to exchange for a spot for me. Even though I was mentally prepared, I was still stunned by his shamelessness. Even the classmates beside me stood up, one after another exposing his scheme. Shameless scumbag, now you remember Lucy as your girlfriend. When you were busy flattering Sophie, why didn't you say so? That's right. Lucy has no obligation to use her property to save a traitor. If you love Sophie so much, then hug each other and die together. Ryan was choked speechless but immediately changed his tone, shamelessly looking at me. Lucy, I know I was wrong. Before Sophie seduced me, I was just temporarily confused. Please ask this gentleman to take me along. Austin Wood was experienced, seeing through the deception with just a glance, and flatly refused. Sorry, Miss Lucy is my honored guest. I respect her wishes. If she doesn't want to save you, then I won't save you either. Sophie, who had been mocked earlier, now found an opportunity to strike back, immediately lowering her voice to taunt. You were laughing at me just now you're also getting slapped. Serves you right? You little slut, shut up. This is all because of you. You knew I had a girlfriend but still seduced me, and you pretended to be innocent in front of me. Ryan's eyes seemed to be on fire. If he wasn't injured, he probably would have pounced to tear her apart. Watching this couple who were once loving now biting each other like dogs, I only felt satisfied. The merchant caravan decided to rest in place and continue to camp at dawn the next day. Everyone began tying up camels, arranging goods, and finding places to rest. At this time, a bearded man with unkempt whiskers walked up to Ryan and Sophie, grinning nastily. I'm the second in command of the caravan. I can also take you two along, but it depends on your sincerity. His eyes wandered around their bodies, the implication crystal clear. That night, besides a few night guards, everyone had gone to sleep. The bearded man left his tent. Not long after, Sophie also secretly ran outside. An hour later she returned with disheveled clothes, staggering as she fell into her sleeping spot. Soon after, Ryan also quietly got up and went outside. When he returned, his face was full of shame and anger, but the wound on his arm had been bandaged. I was naturally a light sleeper, so all these movements caught my eye. The corner of my mouth curved up. I never expected that without my protection, Ryan would fall so low as to sell his body, but it was all his own doing. The next morning, the caravan continued on its journey. Austin Wood treated me like an honored guest. Throughout the camel ride, he always let me and 3 classmates ride together. But Ryan and Sophie weren't so lucky. Even though they had sold their bodies for a spot, they could only walk the entire journey, suffering miserably. It wasn't until nightfall that we reached the camp. Having gone through so many hardships, finally being rescued safely, everyone was moved to tears. Before leaving, Austin Wood called me aside and handed me a USB drive. Miss Lucy, someone in my caravan recorded the entire journey. Yesterday we captured some interesting footage that you might find useful in the future. Consider it a reunion gift. I was extremely grateful and kept thanking him. A few days later, we smoothly returned home. I received an offer from the company I wanted and started my office life. I thought from then on I would have no more entanglements with the scoundrel Ryan, but unexpectedly, he clung to me. The wound on his arm, because it wasn't treated properly and he had to force himself to walk for a day in the desert, became severely infected and inflamed when taken to the hospital. Although it was treated, it left sequelae. His arm couldn't move. Unable to find work, the person who once considered himself a phoenix flying out of a poor mountain village was severely hit and quickly declined. Seeing their son suffering, his parents didn't mind the long journey to find me, but instead of looking for Sophie, the real culprit, they targeted me. That day, near quitting time, I was buried in a project plan when a colleague from the same batch rushed over in panic. Lucy, there's a group of people downstairs holding banners saying you harmed their son, making him disabled and unable to find work, demanding you take responsibility. My heart jumped, and I hurriedly got up and went downstairs. The building lobby was packed with more than 10 people, led by a couple in their 50s holding banners. Ryan stood beside them leaning on a crutch, with several others holding phones for live streaming, probably bloggers they hired. The banner read in large letters, "Gold Digger Lucy Chen cheats money and harms people." Ryan, who had obviously rehearsed many times, already had a microphone on, and as soon as he opened his mouth, he deliberately choked up. Everyone. I am the boyfriend of the Gold Digger Lucy Chen. In the year we dated, I transferred a total of 30,000 yuan to her. But last month when we went on a desert trip and got lost in a stone cave, encountering wolf attacks, Lucy deliberately pushed me out to block the wolves because she wanted to default on the debt. She hoped I would be bitten to death so she could escape the debt. Fortunately, I had a tough life and only got injured in the arm, keeping my life. But I just graduated and now I'm disabled. I get rejected everywhere I look for work. Today we came to Lucy's company to seek justice, demanding she return the 30,000 yuan, compensate 200 zalozen for medical expenses and mental damage, and marry me to take care of me in the future. Right at quitting time, the building lobby was crowded with people coming and going. The gossip mentality arose and soon a crowd had gathered. No way. Is that girl really that vicious? Women are truly the most venomous at heart. If she really deliberately pushed him into the wolves, then call the police. That's intentional assault. Right. Do you have proof of the transfers? If it's a loan, you can sue to get it back. Who is this Lucy Chen girl? Let me see what she looks like to be so shameless. Seeing public opinion initially being led, Ryan suppressed a smile at the corner of his mouth and pretended to sigh. After all, we once loved each other. I don't want to be heartless, afraid she'll carry this burden for life. I just hope for fair treatment, return the money, compensate, and marry me. The crowd exclaimed again. You're too kind. If it were me, I'd sue her into bankruptcy? Right? Tell us which floor she's on. I'll live stream so everyone can see the face of this venomous woman. Wim must not be soft-hearted with this type, or she'll harm others. I stepped out, the corner of my mouth curving coldly. I am the venomous woman Lucy Chen. Do you all have any opinions? My appearance made the entire venue fall silent. You could hear a pin drop. Ryan's parents, hearing this, immediately approached and looked me up and down, their eyes flashing with calculation. Ryan's mother spoke first, her voice sour. You're the little fox who cheated my son's money and made him disabled. Old woman, watch your mouth. I only admit I'm Lucy Chen, but I never admitted to the fabricated charges you're pinning on me. Ryan's father stood beside her, eyes leering, smile lecherous. This girl looks pretty good. Nice figure. She'll definitely bear children well. Our Jiang family will have descendants. Daughter-in-law, I'm your father-in-law. Let me tell you, the wedding must be grand. Ryan's mother frowned and secretly stepped on the old man. Hemph, what are you thinking? She squinted her tiny eyes, looking commanding, evaluating me from head to toe. You look decent enough. My son is naturally talented. He could marry a rich family's daughter. But he likes you, so consider yourself lucky. You must agree to all his demands, and you must bring a dowry, a large apartment and a luxury car. The house must be at least 200 square meters, in a district with good schools. The car must cost over 1 million yuan. I remember your family has a company, right? Transfer it all to my son. After all, your family only has one daughter. Your parents will have to rely on my son for support in the future anyway, so consider it showing some sincerity. After marriage, you must give birth to 2 sons, handle all the cooking and housework, and serve our entire family. If you don't do well, I'll have my son divorce you. Then see who would want a discarded woman like you. She spoke without stopping to catch her breath. The people watching around finally realized something was wrong. They began whispering to each other, their eyes shifting from sympathy to suspicion when looking at the Jiang family. Even if the girl was at fault, taking it to court would at most result in tens of thousands in compensation. How does it get to the point of giving up all family assets plus parents? First time seeing such shameless demands. Isn't this just extortion? So this whole time it's just been their one-sided story, no evidence. Who knows if it's true or false? Ryan's expression stiffened, but he quickly regained his composure. Lucy, you've wronged me so much and still dare to show up. I felt like I just heard the most ridiculous joke, slightly curving my lips. This whole time it's just been your words, without a shred of evidence. What do I owe you? He was stumped for a moment, then defiantly said, The righteous fear no shadows. You know what immoral things you've done. I don't need to provide evidence. I smiled coldly, the smile not reaching my eyes. You have no evidence. What a coincidence I do. The lobby had a display screen. I gave the USB to security to play. Immediately the screen clearly showed the scene of the wolf attack, starting from when Sophie pushed Ryan out as bait. Then came the scene of him insisting on dragging me down, hypocritically forcing me to give up my bracelet. Then him and Sophie turning on each other, just to get into the merchant caravan. The Jiang family clearly looked flustered. The constantly reversing plot made the gossip crowd gasp in amazement. So this girl isn't vicious like they said. Turns out the real villain was him, gold digging and betraying, now even making up stories to frame his ex-girlfriend. Disgusting. Look at the whole family's attitude just now, acting like they wanted to swallow her alive. Serves them right for being exposed. Too bad the wolf didn't bite him to death. Sister, don't be afraid. This is illegal now. Call the police. Ryan's face turned ashen, angrily defending himself. No, this video is fake. It must be someone's editing. Your family has money. You probably found experts to fake it. But no one believed him anymore. Everyone's eyes looking at him and his family were full of contempt. He signaled to his parents, and the whole family hurriedly tried to escape. Before they could get out the door, 2 police officers walked in. Ryan, someone reported you for gathering to cause trouble, making false accusations and defamation. Please come with us to cooperate with the investigation. Ryan immediately collapsed to the ground. It's over. The Jiang family was guilty of public disturbance, false accusations and extortion, with clear evidence. I didn't agree to mediation, so they were all detained for 15 days, had to publicly apologize, and compensate me. That day the incident was live-streamed, and the Jiang family immediately became rats crossing the street that everyone wanted to beat. Ryan, already having lost an arm and struggling to find work, now faced even more dead ends. This also implicated Sophie. After the incident was exposed, the school felt she affected their reputation and forced her to drop out at the beginning of the semester, leaving her without a graduation certificate. At home, she was also scolded by her parents. While feeling depressed and unlucky, she discovered she was pregnant. Counting the days, it was likely Ryan's child, though it could also be that bearded man's. She wasn't sure herself. When her parents found out, they flew into a rage and immediately kicked her out of the house. Sophie had no choice but to find Ryan and force him to take responsibility. She kept swearing, "The child is definitely yours. I was only with you during that time. I never did anything wrong." The Jiang family had to reluctantly accept this daughter-in-law. With Sophie pregnant, she naturally couldn't work. Ryan's parents were just ordinary farmers, relying only on a few seasonal crops sold for money each year. They quickly became financially strained. Ryan had no choice but to do manual labor during the day and deliver food at night. But because he'd lost an arm, he couldn't carry much, and often delivered food late and got fined. He couldn't save much in a whole month. As a considerate ex-girlfriend, I lent a helping hand. I sent his information to a pyramid scheme company that offered unreasonably high salaries with extremely low skill and experience requirements. When that company proactively contacted him, Ryan was immediately attracted. But he wasn't stupid enough to believe in such good fortune. Unfortunately, he had 3 freeloaders at home, taking turns day and night to persuade him. "Son, we're almost out of rice to cook. What will we do when the child is born?" "That's right, Mom believes you're a dragon among men. How much can you earn doing manual labor and food delivery? This high-paying job suits you." Sophie also kept sweet-talking him. "Ryan, the child's bright future depends entirely on you." Flattered to the point of losing his mind, he forgot his own worth and happily went to take the job. Little did he know what awaited him was a man-eating pyramid scheme that would drain him to the bone. When he was rescued, Ryan had been drained physically and mentally, walking with tremors. More seriously, his manhood was damaged, completely losing his reproductive ability. The only consolation was that Sophie gave birth to a baby boy, so the Jiang family had a grandson to continue the lineage. Of course, I didn't intend to let them live peacefully. I hired someone to get DNA samples from Ryan and the child for a paternity test, then sent the results to their home. The moment he saw the test results, anger and humiliation nearly overwhelmed Ryan. He slapped Sophie like thunder, grinding his teeth. "You slut! You said it was my child. Turns out I'm raising someone else's kid. Damn it, back then I was blind. If Lucy hadn't refused to sleep with me, I wouldn't have been deceived by you. If we hadn't broken up, I would have married her by now and shared her family's wealth of tens of millions." Sophie wouldn't back down either, her voice mocking. "Do I need to remind you how you treated Lucy? Try finding her now and see if she'll forgive you. As for whose child this is, does it matter?" That perverted bearded man took off the condom halfway through. I just wanted to survive. What's wrong with that? You think you're so great. For survival, you even offered your ass to people. Don't mock me. Oh, I forgot, you're even more pathetic than me. Now you're a grandpa. Since you can't have children anyway, just consider him your son and accept your fate. Being hit right in his sore spot, Ryan went crazy, grabbed the baby still in diapers, and threw him hard to the ground. The child immediately stopped breathing. His eyes turned red with rage. Taking advantage of Sophie's shock, he grabbed a fruit knife nearby and stabbed repeatedly. After an unknown number of stabs, when Sophie fell down with blood everywhere, he finally came to his senses. Ryan was quickly arrested. Having killed 2 lives with such cruelty, he was sentenced to death without hesitation. Before execution, he requested to see me to apologize. I didn't even bother thinking and refused. Who wants to see that unlucky trash again? After Ryan died, his father became seriously ill, his mother went crazy, ran outside, and froze to death somewhere. His father had no one to care for him. Only when neighbors smelled the stench did they call police. By then the body had been decomposing for days. As for me, I didn't care at all. When I heard the news, I had just excellently won a major project and been promoted to team leader. The dark clouds dispersed, the sky bright with sunshine, beautiful days belonged to me. This tale demonstrates that enabling toxic behavior often leads to destruction for everyone involved. When we sacrifice our principles to please selfish, manipulative people, we become complicit in their harm to others. True strength lies in maintaining boundaries, standing up for what's right, and refusing to be exploited by those who show no genuine remorse. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is allow people to face the natural consequences of their actions, rather than shielding them from accountability. The protagonist's journey from victim to survivor shows that self-respect and moral clarity are more valuable than maintaining toxic relationships. By choosing justice over false peace, she ultimately found genuine success and happiness. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. I truly appreciate your comments, feedback, and thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. See you again in the next story.